God, I love it up here. This view is just magnificent. I'm up again at Smednik Castle, on the castle itself. And this is the view of the Kamnik Alps with Grintovets there. You've got Storžič over there, and then if you look further over this way, you've got the Julian Alps and Mount Triglav. Now, if you haven't seen my video where I first introduced you to this place, then go check it out. I'll put a link up to it now. But I'm here today to try out some long exposures with my new 10-stop neutral density filter, the square filter that I've got from Kase. I reviewed this in a previous video, so again, if you haven't seen that one and you want to know more about the filter and how to use the filter, where I talk about the two different techniques on how to calculate your exposure once you've got your neutral density filter in, because there are two methods you can use. Again, I put a link to that video up here, and I put a link to both videos down in the description as well, so go check that out if you want more details. I'm timing now a 1 minute exposure. Now, the thing about doing long exposures is that without filters you have to wait until the light is really low, which is usually then at dawn or dusk. And that's nice, but then you're limited to blue hour shots with not much light. But with the 10-stop filter, you can come out when there's really great light over the scene and over the clouds, and you've got those lovely white clouds, and you can get the long exposure effect this way, but only when you use the ND filter. So as you can see, I've now switched to the long lens, so I can zoom in close to the mountains. I had the shorter lens on to take the first couple of shots to include that church down there, but now that church has gone into the shade. Now it's time to get the long lens out and zoom right in. There's some lovely light falling on Grintovets right now as that cloud is drifting over, and I'm getting a 1 minute exposure with this 10-stop ND filter. At f11 ISO 200, mistake. f11 ISO 100 is giving me a 1 minute exposure with this 10-stop, and it's really, there's some really light, lovely colours there, and without this filter we'd never get a long exposure of something like this. And the great thing about using the square filter is it's really easy to just pop it off if you want to recompose. There's a little bit of shadow creeping up in the corner there, which I want to get rid of. So I just want to move over just a touch. Oop. And when the light changes, again, it's really easy to pop this off and take recompose or refocus, because it's very hard to focus through this. I've got my focus set already. If you ever need to refocus, recompose, take a new light reading, then it's really easy to just pop that off as you saw and pop it back on again and shoot another shot. And it's also really good because the sun is going down over there, and when that sun hits the mountains I want to be able to swivel around and get a shot of the sun going down over the Julian Alps. And I don't want the ND filter for that. I don't want a long exposure for that. So again, I'll be able to spin around, pull this off really quickly and grab those shots as it goes down. And then after it's gone down, I can put this back on to get some long exposures of those clouds when they're lit up. And again, if I swivel around this way and shoot to where the sun has gone down, even after the sun's gone behind the mountains, it will still be far too bright to get a really long exposure. So the 10 stop will help with that. Again, now I'm going to recompose because there's some really great cloud falling over the peak next to Grintervets. I'm not sure of its name. I'll stick it up in a minute. So now I want to recompose. I also want to change my aspect ratio to a 16:9 because the cloud is now quite low and there's a lot of blue above it. So I want to come down, recompose my shot. Just a touch. And again, because I'm changing my focus, changing my focal length and everything, I want to focus again, which I've done. Now flick it to manual. I can take another quick light reading and slide the filter back on again. That easy. That's what I love about these square filters. Now, as I showed you this quick technique sometimes when it's light enough, at ISO 100 f11 it's flashing 30. Take the ISO up to 200, it's still flashing. I take it up to 400, it stopped flashing. So if I take it now down to 200, I know it would be twice that. So ISO 400 I can get a 30-second exposure. So if I take the ISO down one stop, it will take the shutter speed up one stop. So 30, one stop more is 60 seconds. So now I can get a 1 minute exposure. F11, ISO 200, get my timer out and away we go. The sun is peeking ever closer to those mountains. The sun is creeping ever closer to those mountains. And some nice layer of cloud above the mountains too right now. Now the light's gone off those mountain peaks. I'll finish this exposure and I'll turn around for the sunset. So now that sun's going behind the clouds. Now I can whip this off and spin around for it. Now I can very quickly and easily swap the 10 stop ND for a 3 stop grad filter. Now, as I said, I don't want a long exposure. So now I very quickly and easily the sun's gone behind the clouds now. Lovely. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, how very quickly I could adapt. With my old screw-in filter, I would have had to take this off, unscrew the old filter, put this back on, and I would miss all this action. Now it's come out from the cloud. Just waiting for it now to go down behind those mountain peaks. So the sun has gone down behind the mountains now. I've got some nice afterglow, very bright. Now I'm doing a 2-minute exposure. Oh, I just love the way that little bit of cloud is just cupping the peak of Triglav there. It's just fantastic. I do another 2-minute exposure of this. I've got ISO 200 f11 with the 10 stop giving me a 2-minute exposure.